Hello. I want to start with thanking you for clicking on this video. Listen, I want to get straight into this right now, but I need to give you guys a background. I need to also let you know why, out of all the people who are out here making YouTube videos, I am one of those people who does not want to show my face. Well, the reason is simple, because I am currently in the middle of litigation. As I study all of the people who are out here posting these videos, some of these so-called experts and attorneys who tell you they can help you clear up your debt or clear up your credit report or whatever it may be, or help you defend yourself in a case where you basically represent yourself pro se, pro per, whatever you want to do. I want you to know I've done a lot of research. I've been going through this for years. So when I tell you that I am well versed in this subject, I mean it. I am no novice. I have been through so many things in the world of law, and I have learned trial and error, which I think is the best way to learn, because I have seen so many different situations and dealt with them. Consumer debt right now is my current thing that I am studying every which way, studying it from every angle. And I've been involved with helping people with it. I have, of course, been helping myself, as I am currently. And I am not here trying to sell you or anyone else anything. I am just here to lend honest advice. And the only way that I can do that properly, well, let's just say the best way that I feel that I can be of service to you right now is to tell you my story and have you pay close attention and learn from my story. So I believe that if you pay close attention to what I've gone through and how I maneuvered through those situations, I think that you can learn a lot, and I think you can take it with you, and it can help you in the future or right now if you are facing some form of litigation. Let's get into this thing about consumer debt. Let me just tell you my story really quick. I got my first credit card over 2 decades ago. All right, and I was that guy who was super proud of, I was one of those guys who said, you know what, it's my debt, I made it, I'm going to pay it off. I am not going to let this become something that, ends up defining me. I'm going to be the person who always manages my credit worthiness well, and I'm going to have a score of 850. And, I had all those things. So even if it didn't make sense, I would find a way to pay off the debt no matter what. Like, I was, in a sense, I was kind of like a Lannister from Game of Thrones. I always said, I always pay my debts, always. And because of that, I am going through a situation right now that I would have been better off going through literally 15 to almost 20 years ago. All right. Let's just fast forward several years, and before this pandemic, I found myself wondering if it was all worth it anymore. Life had really punched me in the face, and I had no choice. It was either pay every bill, every credit card, every installment, and then eventually just run out of money and lose everything, or make the hard choice and let go of the consumer debt immediately. So I had to throw some things overboard. So I chose to default on several credit card accounts. When I did this, the first time I got really scared, and I decided, oh, no, I'm not going to do this. I can't do it. My credit's too important to me. God, I've had this card for so long, and I've built up such a great reputation. If things just turn around in my life, and I'll be able to turn it around, and then I'll wish I wouldn't have done this. So those guys would call me and be like, "What's happening? Why haven't you paid?" And I'm like, "Oh," and I'll explain to them what's going on. They're like, "Well, tell you what, if you pay it right now, then we'll pretend like none of this happened." I said, "Okay, thank you, please. I'm so sorry I let this happen. And I've always been good." "Yeah, you've always been good. You've been good for many, 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 many years. Just don't let it happen again." I'm like, I won't, I promise." And I caved and I paid it. So I went through this twice where I just said, "You know what? That's it. I'm not going to pay it." Now, you're probably asking, or you probably are wondering, where did you get the idea to just basically throw in the towel and just give it up? Well, this came after grabbing a couple of books. You can get these books on Amazon or whatever. They have them in audio book form. I have them. I have the books in actual book format, and I also have them in audio format. And they were inspiring to me. Well, one of the books that I listened to, this guy tells a story similar to mine and a lot of other and millions of other people in the world. You have your dreams, you're trying to accomplish them, but you get hit in the face and you just have to make the tough decision. But this guy, he decided to just be upfront with the creditors about it. Some of them worked with him, and some of them were like, "We're going to sue you, this, that, and the other." So he went through all this stuff, but he chose to the path of being straightforward and honest with these guys and treating them as if they were his friends. Well, I'm going to let you know that I actually was inspired by his book, and I tried it his way, and it didn't work except for with one creditor. One creditor called me back and said, "Listen, you've always been good with your stuff. What's going on? What's happening?" And for whatever reason, I was touched by this. So I decided, no matter what, I will not default on this particular creditor. So I decided to make a decision and stick with a couple of accounts, just like this guy does in his book, and then I dumped all the rest, especially the ones that weren't helpful at all. So if none of them would have been helpful in any way or empathetic to my situation, then screw them. I dumped them. So a few months go by. They call me. They blow up my phone like you would not believe. But I just held strong to it and just didn't talk to them anymore because I knew that if I spoke to them, that I would be digging a deeper hole for myself. Well, finally, after I would say around 18 months, close to the 18-month mark, I was served with my first lawsuit from one of the creditors. They chose to sue me right before Christmas. Now, for a lot of people, that would just like rip their hearts out, but talking about Christmas and everything is a whole nother conversation. When the day comes to show up in court, so I answer the suit. I also answer the Dunning letter. Big mistake. Never answer the Dunning letter. And I'm going to get into that more later, believe me. So all these guys sent out Dunning letters. The Dunning letter is a letter from the creditor that says, "Hey, you owe this amount." Sometimes usually it's from a phony law firm. Anyway, they say, unless you respond or dispute the validity of this debt within 30 days, a default judgment will be brought against you. Okay, that is total and complete BS, okay? They cannot do this. This is something that I did early on that caused me a lot of stress that I didn't have to go through. When that guy showed up at my door and served me those papers, I was irritated. I was floored because I thought that my Dunning letter, which by the way was basically a template, I just thought that it was enough to keep them from filing suit. Thought they realized that no matter what, I wouldn't give in. Well, I tried to work things out with these guys. Once they filed a lawsuit, I said, okay, you win. What can we do to settle this? Well, then these guys started saying, "Well, you're not the actual person that we're supposed to be talking to." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So Then they start saying, we need to talk to somebody else, not you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then they said, well, we need to prove that this is your account. And I go, oh, I see. So you're trying to trick me right now into saying that this is, and I didn't say it because I knew what they were trying to do. I said, you're trying to bait me right now. So guess what? Congratulations. You have ruined any opportunity that you may have to settle this. I want you to know that. So got that person's name, got off the phone, told him to go pound sand, and I started working on my defense and my answer. Filed my answer, and they went on and quickly dragged me into court. I show up at court, and the company that had the stuff, and I think I can say this because I hear a lot of people throwing their name around. Um, I believe it was like LVNV funding. So this guy has a ton of names, right? And the judge is calling them all out. And he's like, yeah, got those. But he knew I was there. This guy, that's another thing. You have to understand that when you default, there are people who come out of the woodwork that work for these creditors, and they look for every little bit of information on you. So my other advice to you before you do this, make sure you mask all details on all social media outlets that you have. So Facebook, YouTube, whatever it may be, Instagram, Twitter, make sure that you completely become a ghost or that people cannot get your information or find out anything about you before you default. Then go on and have at it. Because at that point, you're going to make their job a lot harder because they can't see who you are. So this guy, he knew who I was, and I had not even met him. And he goes to the judge and says, I want to talk to him outside. Okay, so just a quick recap. Number one, okay, never, never, ever, ever, ever answer the Dunning letter. Number two, if you get served after not answering the Dunning letter, please, I don't want you to mix this up. You need to answer the suit. If someone files a complaint against you, file an answer to the complaint, okay? It doesn't have to be perfect, just file it. Because if you don't file it, you're done. Okay, so now, here's number three. Do not, under any circumstances, leave the courthouse. Do not leave the courtroom. I'm sorry. Let me correct that. Don't leave the courtroom. So all they're trying to do is bait you. So you just don't do any of that, okay? So let me get back to the story. I step outside with him. He says, do you want to settle this? And I said, long story short, I just said, yeah, I'd like to make this go away. What do you have to say? He says, well, I don't know. I'm not the one who makes that decision, so I guess we'll have to decide that later. And he gets on the elevator and he leaves. I go back in the courtroom and I'm like, Judge, he said he couldn't decide that and he left. He goes, doesn't matter. Once you walked out of the room with this guy, I closed this out on you. And I'm like, are you effing kidding me? I was so pissed off, okay? And I'm like, you can't do that. He just asked for me to speak to him outside. He says, no, you left the courtroom with him. I'm like, come on, Your Honor, give me a break. So anyway, he wouldn't back off. So that's where you find out. Rule number 4, the credit bureaus and the judges and the attorneys, all those people, they are all in bed together. They are against you, okay? They don't want you to win. They want you to lose. They want to take your money, even though you may not have a dime. They want to take everything from you. They want to crush you, okay? And you're not going to let them do that. I'm telling you, if you listen to my story and you do as I'm telling you to do, you will not run into any issues. Even though you can't take this as legal advice, you will come out on top if you listen to my story. I'm telling you. Heed my warnings, okay? So, the judge he let it stay, right? And he rescheduled it. I did a lot of research after this because I was so upset. I found the one thing, and there's only one thing, and I did the research front to back that can stop them from getting that summary judgment. And I made that call. And once I did that, they had to come to court. The first case, okay, mind you, I just want you to know that. You know, several were pending at the time, but this is only one. So I show up in there, and this attorney for the plaintiff says, oh, he owes this on that and this, that, and the other. And I say, do you have a bond? The judge says, you cannot ask her that. I said, oh, really? So anyway, the judge totally sides with her. But at the same time, he questions her in a way to where it looks like he's grilling her. It almost makes you believe that he's on your side, but the judge is not on your side. He or she will never be on your side, proper English. So, from there, I just remained silent. I just said, Your Honor, he tried to trick me. He said, when did you default on the debt? And I said, let me make this clear to you. I have no knowledge of the alleged debt. He didn't like this at all. And then he said, do you have anything else to say? There are a couple other things that she said. And she got frustrated because, I did throw a few things out there that threw her off. But either way, he ruled in her favor. Long story short, he ruled in her favor. And I'm like, you got to be effing kidding me. All I had to do right there at that moment, this is very important. I learned this actually from someone else. You have to object because she was able to get victory by submitting hearsay. And hearsay is inadmissible in court, always. Okay? Unless the person on that affidavit will show up and testify in court and say, I wrote this, here I am. So all I had to do was say objection, 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 objection. And then if the judge said overruled, then I could have said, basically if the judge would have let her say that or go on with it, then I would have said, then right now, you need to tell me why you won't let me object to this so that I can preserve the error for my appeal. I didn't say any of that. I didn't object. I didn't mess her up, and they got victory, right? So, yeah, I left there feeling pretty defeated. But very quickly after that happened, I went on and filed for an appeal. And the plaintiff went on and decided to forfeit. And I'm going to do another recap because I did that other recap too early. Do not respond or talk to any strangers or debt collectors at all. Just ignore them, okay? Let them go to voicemail. Change your voicemail on your phone. Or when you sign up for those accounts, I suggest you get a burner phone and have that as your contact. You never want to give them more than 30 seconds or you're verified. Don't do it. Don't respond to their letters. Don't respond to their phone calls. Don't talk to them, okay? Number two, if they decide to go on and sue you, and most important thing, I got to give you the reason why you do this. Because if you say, yes, this is me and I dispute this, then they've got you. Do you understand? Then they know that they're going to wear you down and get something out of you because they know that you feel like you've got something to lose when you probably don't. This is why you don't verify, okay? So then they decide, let's just say they decide, despite the fact that he's completely ignoring us, let's see if we can get a default judgment because they get those things in bulk. You know what I mean? Like, as I told you when I was in the courtroom, the guy had 30 names at least, and I was the only guy who showed up to fight. So, show up, answer the complaint, and then show up for your day in court. And I'm going to tell you how that can work out in a different way very shortly. So that's number two. Number three, when you get there, the guy's going to ask you to step outside so they can talk. He or she will do this. You can politely decline. You don't have to be a prick about it. Just say, I don't feel comfortable stepping outside. Let's proceed. And they'll probably dismiss it. But let's say they don't. When you show up in court, make sure that you railroad your opponent. That's who they are, your enemy. You got to railroad them with objections, talk over them, do all that. And they'll probably dismiss it. Number five, once it is dismissed, I guess there's a certain amount of time they have to file an appeal. And because I'm on a walk right now, I don't have the exact number in front of me. I want to say it's somewhere in the ballpark of 30 days. They don't do that appeal. You can go ahead right away and they'll upload the document online. You can download that document of the victory in your favor and submit it to all three credit bureaus. They have to take it off your credit report. And if they don't, then it's a violation of the FCRA. You can take them to court. You can sue them. That's pretty much it. Now I'm going to go on and start to wrap this up because it's gone on way too long. Thank you for listening this far. Once again, I have very, very good information that I'm going to be uploading here. I'll be doing it as podcast. For now, it's going to be on YouTube. Just hang in there out there. Just realize these guys are desperate. They're super desperate right now with all this COVID-19 stuff, and they're doing anything possible to get money out of people. They're sick, and they don't deserve a penny of your money. So if you're looking for answers, you're trying to figure out the right way to do it, this is your channel. Subscribe, subscribe. Get the notification bell. I will, ask me questions if you have them. But I'm telling you right now, I can only think of 4 people right now off the top of my head who are on YouTube. They're given the right advice. And one of them is on a tear right now. She is on a tear. She is telling the truth. So if you don't want to listen to me, go on and check out Expert Credit Sweeps. But there's 3 other guys. She's the only girl. There's 3 other dudes who I've listened to, and I've studied some of their stuff. And I think they're legit. I think they're the real deal. Just be careful who you listen to out there, though. And remember the things I told you, because there is advice that you will get that is totally wrong. And I'm telling you, I already just gave you a story to let you know why that type of advice doesn't work. And it all starts with that Dunning letter. You just ignore that and ignore their phone. Don't get on the phone with them. Don't give them anything to hang you with or verify you with. And you're good to go. Thanks for listening to all this. I'll have another one out to you soon.